What up, family? It's your girl Jetty from Word Revolution. As you see from the title, I'm going to talk about spiritual allegiance. Y'all know, I always use my personal life to bring messages, right? What I'm going through, I try to bring whatever I'm learning, I present to you guys. So anybody that wants to learn it or whatever, it's there for you, right? If it doesn't bring you if it doesn't bless you, I'm sorry about that. Just watch something else. But I try to use my own life, the things I'm going through. I share them so that anybody following maybe can be blessed by my experience and doesn't have to go through the same stuff, right? Like if you come and you say, don't go that way, the bridge is out. Maybe 10 people have to go and see for themselves that the bridge is out and waste all the gas and then have to come all the way back. But I like to be the one person that's like, okay, the sign says bridge is out. Everybody's turning around and coming back. I don't need to go and witness it for myself, right? Like, okay, the bridge is out. And if by chance someone lied and the bridge is not out, what have I lost by rerouting, right? So a lot of people say you got to learn from your own mistakes. You can't learn from somebody else's mistakes. Well, a fool has to learn from their own mistakes, okay? A wise person can learn from the mistakes of others. And in this case, I'm not really, in this video, I'm not really speaking of a mistake, but just in terms of being able to observe another person's life and gain wisdom through their experience, not having to have all of the experiences yourself, but being able to gain from other people's experiences as well, which is why I'm sharing, okay? So, a lot of you may or may not know, my father recently passed, a week ago. My father passed. And it was a mess, okay? Basically, I have a sister. I have a sister who took care of him while he was on hospice, right? So this particular sister was a very keen study of my father for years since we were little children. If you go to her house is more like my father's house than any of the other siblings. Now, my father has 16 children, okay? So there's a lot of us. But there is more of my father just in terms of the way that she lives in her home. She's more like my father than any of the rest of us. And so when he took ill and became incapacitated, it was a huge blessing and a relief to me that this particular sister was available to go and be with him and spend that time with him, because she, more than any of the rest of us, was able to create the kind of environment that he's most comfortable in, because it's her natural way to create an environment that is his natural way. But it alienated and pissed off a lot of people in the family, because in recent years, he's been kind of being bullied out of relevance, right? And you get older and you don't have a lot of fight in you. So in a lot of ways, the family kind of swallowed my father up in his old age. And he wasn't even that old, but I think that the more you resign, you start to lose your strength and your fire, right? So as he kept not wanting to have these fights with people for the kind of space that he would hold in the house, allowing people, and just as an example, I'll use maybe okay, so in my house, we don't have shoes in the house, right? So if I had lots of people that lived with me that wouldn't honor that, they always wear shoes in the house, there's only so long you're going to want to fight that fight, right? Oh my God, stop with the shoes, stop with the shoes. At some point, it's very likely that I might just resign to it and be like, yeah, well, I prefer not to have shoes in the house, but you know what? Everybody keeps wearing shoes in the house, so you don't have to remove your shoes. It's no big deal, right? So that kind of thing has happened a lot over the years with my father, to the point to where the last time I saw him, which was 2 years ago. No, that's not the last time I saw him. Last time I saw him was about a year and a half ago. But either way, the last time I was at the house, which was 2 years ago, the house it wasn't even really like being in his house. It was like being in the house of the wives and the kids that lived there, you had to go into his office to experience the way that he was, right? And so as he became ill, like I said, my one particular sister, who was able to really create an environment like he prefers, really, he drew her close. She was a warrior. She fought that battle of maintaining that space for him. And of course, the family was furious because they were used to a certain kind of a power being able to overrun him, kind of soft bully him over the years. But then when she got in position, she was like, yeah, she couldn't be bullied out of it, right? And so, already people's emotions are everywhere, whatever. It's just, I'm not going to get into like the details of the story of the drama because trust and believe, it was a bunch of fucking drama. But basically, she took all the licks, right? She took all the licks, took all the beatings for the people's discontent with her asserting my father's true will in the space that he was in. And so they just beat her up, man, Now, granted, here's the thing. My father we used to have talks. We used to talk about absolutely everything as a group, as a family. And like when we would have talks, you couldn't leave the talk until everyone in the talk understood where everyone else was coming from. And not that necessarily they agreed or were like swung or converted to their view, but at least to where they were able to embrace in love the people who were in the talk, right? So like you couldn't leave with beef. And you can tell when somebody still has beef. Like you can tell when a hug is real, right? And we had to hug. Everybody had to hug everybody before we like left the talk. I love you. And like the house had to be restored to a certain energetic order, right? Goodwill had to be in the house. So if anybody was walking around a house with a funky vibe, the whole house would stop, freeze, and process it and get them to a place where their vibe was restored to wholeness. Right? So that was the culture of my father's house growing up. Well, you can imagine the amount of work that it took to maintain that kind of environment of goodwill, especially when you're talking about multiple wives and children, increasing by the year. So that practice, that way of communicating, the level of honesty that it required did not get past it was one of the things, that level of honesty and integrity that was required, as well as the level of investment, because trust me, some of these talks literally went on for days. You got beef between two people and like they both feel like they're right in their position and they don't want to hear the other person's, but they don't want to consider that the other person has a valid point. They don't want to consider and so sometimes it would literally take days of talking nonstop to get people to a place of true understanding and goodwill. And so, but that is probably the main thing that kind of got soft bullied out of the dynamic of the household because, people were allowed not to come to the talks after a while, or people could leave the talk if they didn't want to hear it anymore, or people could fake and be like, I'm fine. No, really, I'm fine. And that be like, no, really, you need to come to a place of goodwill. I have goodwill. I'm fine. Like in the glory days of the raps, we call them, that wouldn't be acceptable. Like everyone would be stuck until really your fine was like, no, really, I'm fine. I'm good. And you could embrace that person. And so when the family culture shifted to where people were not required that same level of investment or integrity or communication, it shifted the whole spiritual reality of the family. Because what was allowed to creep in was lack of integrity. People could lie, people could come to the talks and lie, and no one would hold them accountable. People would not show up for talks because they didn't feel like dealing with certain people. Like it became very, a really treacherous environment spiritually, because there was no upholding of truth and righteousness and goodwill anymore. It became like and I'm going to say this, it became very whitewashed, where, like, you never know who the racist is because they learned how to, like, be polite for a while there. There was like all these really polite racists, and there still are a bunch of them, right? They're like, oh, hi, honey. Oh, that's so nice. And then you leave and they'd be like, why do niggers do this and that? Like, that kind of like two faces, right? And so that kind of lack of integrity became the norm. So that even when you had talks, the talks became like they're useless to go to for those of us who were used to the old way, because it's like, I don't have 4 hours to sit around and listen to lies, like, and listen to you pretend, or listen to you, manipulate the conversation. If it's not an authentic and real expression, and if you're not authentically and truly seeking goodwill to restore the goodwill, then it's a waste of time. So, because a lot of us, hey, bless up, sister. So, because a lot of us were, or not a lot of us, but some of us were used to these first type of talks, we did not have time for the second type of talks, right? For the ones where the fake shit was allowed to go on. So what happened then? We divested, which means that the fake superficial version of the talks became the new norm. And you didn't have us around to challenge it, right? And so my dad's power decreased greatly, because now he didn't even have people in the circle with him who knew the difference between, no, really, I'm fine, and no, really, I'm fine, right? Like, these people didn't even know the difference. So as my father came to be ill and incapacitated, my sister was the only person who was able to hold a space wherein that level of integrity, and I guess I would say cleanness was was a reality. And so, but you can imagine what happened. The whole family turned against her, right? Everybody became furious because they didn't want that level of truth and accountability, because it requires you to do a lot of internal work. Like, all the time you have to work on you. And they had developed a culture of, ain't shit wrong with me, she needs to get herself together, kind of a thing. So why am I talking about all of this, right? What does this have to do with spiritual alignment or allegiance? Well, here's what it has to do with. In his passing, on my father's deathbed, he literally begged the family to have one last authentic experience with him. And what that authentic experience was that he desired was that they should be kind to my sister who was taking care of him, that they should apologize to her for being cruel, and that they should recognize that she was the only person in that situation who was able and capable of doing what he actually needed in that time, and that he was calling on their love for him and their love for her to shift them from this place of desiring power in the household, right? Because for them, it was a power balance, right? It was a power game. It was like, she's taken territory in the household, which she did, right? Like, she claimed territory for my dad and like held this space for him. And so for them, they couldn't see it in terms of what she was doing for my father. All they could see was the power that they were losing in the space. And so he died ashamed of them, apologizing to the sister that they abused, crying and ashamed of them for that. But another thing that, so when I speak of spiritual allegiance, right? You have all of these people that are running around, and that always happens when someone dies. Everyone knew them in a different capacity, right? No two relationships are the same. But it is so interesting to see these these dynamics where you have this one group who their norm is lies, deception, and superficiality. And then you have another group who have a zero tolerance for the lies, deception, and superficiality. And so without my father around to be, I guess, the middleman who could tolerate, had a much higher tolerance for the bullshit, but who also wasn't fooled by the bullshit, right? Without him as the middleman, the fracture is super exacerbated, right? But the crazy thing is, everyone's doing what they're doing in the name of honoring my father. And this is where we come back to spiritual allegiance, right? Because if you don't pay attention, you can end up, how can I? It's like the KKK is a Christian organization, right? Well, they have an allegiance to a certain type of a doctrine or whatever Christian means to them. But their spiritual allegiance is with the enemy of the Messiah, right? Why? How do you know that? Well, because lies and death are coming forth from them, right? And so when you're going through experiences with people, you have to be discerning about what spirit that person is truly operating in. Because these days, good is called wicked and wicked is called good, right? In these days, man, my father was an amazing dude. He wasn't a perfect man by any stretch of the imagination, but he was an amazing man, and he did some amazing work with us. And I'm really super honored. I'm just going to throw this in there. I'm really super honored because for probably the past 20 years, I've been saying I wanted to write my autobiography and really tell about how we grew up and everything. But I never could start it because I didn't want to. I knew that if I would offend everybody if I told the truth. And so I never would start it. So over the years, my dad every now and then would say, "Did you start your book?" And I'd be like, "No," because every time I start it, it's like I realize it's going to offend somebody. And so it was very cool, like as toward the end of his life, that he made sure to encourage me to write the book because he knew that I would tell the truth. And he encouraged me to write it and to be sure to tell the truth. Like, there's no need for me to be afraid to speak truth, right? And so it was very beautiful, even in his passing. I did not go there to the location when he passed, but it's funny because he came here to visit me like 50 times that week. I didn't need to go there. He was here, and it was better seeing him here in spirit, in good, strong spirits, than to go there and see him all laid up and weird and stuff. So anyway, the level of truth that is required in order to know who you are is something that we do not have a lot of in this world today. People are more offended by calling out a liar than by the telling of a lie. People are more offended by outrage at wickedness than they are by the wickedness, right? And so nowadays, it's like, and I'll use Colin Kaepernick's situation, right? Like, what's more horrible? People being, like, unarmed people being shot by the police, or someone kneeling during the singing of a song before the flag? Like, which is truly more horrible, right? But this society sees the offense at the offense as a more horrible thing than the actual offense. And so now we have what's going on in the family is a mess because when people feel threatened, which is really funny to me, because if they could really dig it, if they had any truth in them, they would realize my sister, who they're also threatened by, in her holding up the way that my father was, like the way that he was before he made all of these concessions for them, the way that he was, in her holding that, she was actually protecting all of them. Because without one person there holding that, all you have is a war now, because all of them want power. She doesn't give a shit about power. She just wants to make sure that the space is somewhere where everyone can come and be safe and be honored, right? But because they were never taught that level of honor or honesty, now they don't realize in trying to defeat her, they defeat themselves, right? And it's because of their spiritual allegiance. They have a spiritual allegiance to carnality. They can't see truth. And, we all have different people that enter our lives for different reasons, different purposes, different seasons, whatever. But it's really important to know who you are. And it's really important to develop discernment so that you can see a spirit, like one person may give you something and their spirit is to destroy you. Another person may withhold something from you and their spirit is to make you stronger. But if you're just basing it on, you see who gave me the $5, obviously Judy cares more about me because she gave me $5. Jane didn't give me shit. Fuck Jane. But you don't know, Susie gave you the $5 so she could go and tell everybody that bitch ain't even have gas money to get to work. I had to give her the $5. We'll see how long it takes her to pay me back. Versus, I don't know who I said the other one was, Jane, I guess, versus Jane, who's like, no, I didn't give her the $5 because she knows she got a lot of stuff that she can do, and she would benefit from pulling out of her some of the talents that she has in her. And so if we keep giving her $5, she'll never really develop that skill as whatever, right? Maybe this person can braid hair, right? And so if Susie gives the $5, or whoever I said the first name was, I don't even know what I say, Judy, what I said the girl name was. The first person A gives the $5, it's actually undermining you. Because in not giving the $5, that friend is strengthening you to say, you know what, girl, I'm not going to give you $5, but I'll tell you what I will do. My homegirl needs her hair done. And so I'm going to give her your number, right? There's a difference. And so we have to be able to not have our mind blown by the $5, right? We have to be able to see a person's spirit and look at their work. Look at their work, the lives that they have touched. Have they left footprints of people who authentically have been positively impacted? Or is it a bunch of fucking hype, right? Do they have a bunch of hype people around them? But if you're not cheering and singing their praises, then you ain't shit. Or if you don't have anything to offer, then you ain't shit. Or if somebody cooler and more interesting comes along, then you ain't shit, right? Like, you have to pay attention to this stuff, because listen, I'm not here for religious debate and stuff like that, but these are the last days. Every day is the last day, because you don't know when you're going to die, okay? So conduct your whole life as if it's the last day. It's the last days. And so it matters who you align yourself with. It matters, right? Which is why I posted the thing about the black vote, which anybody can go check that out. That matters a lot. Now, if you have people in your life who genuinely care about your soul's progression, right? Genuinely care about your soul's progression, and you have people in your life who don't give a fuck or even believe in your soul or that it has a progression or whatever, right? You better know how to cling to the people who are invested in your soul's progression. Whether they're embarrassing, whether they're, unfriendly, whether they stink, whether they are crazy, whether they offend all of your friends, like what, you better know how to cling to the people who care about the progression of your soul. You don't have to, but it would be wise to do so. It would be wise to do so. Because if you don't, you're just going to keep repeating the same lessons lifetime after lifetime. Lifetime after lifetime. Over and over and over and over and over again in this life and the next and the next and the next and the next. And if you don't believe in all those lifetimes, okay, whatever, that's your business. If you believe you only got one shot, you might want to make it count. Oh, blessings, sis. I'm glad that this is blessing you. I'm glad this is blessing you, you know. And so I'm all the way here in Belize. I didn't go up there for the I guess I shouldn't call them festivities, for the what do you call that? For the memorials and all that. I didn't go for any of that. I'm really glad that I didn't, because from here I was able to support the sister that they were all battling against. I was able to support her better from here than I would have from there. And it's funny because you have all these people that talk this shit like, oh, she wasn't even here. She didn't even come for the memorial. She didn't even come. But trust and believe. Half the people that were running in and out of my dad's room, running in and out of the house, running in and out of the memorial services, half them people don't even know my dad. And I'm talking about his own children and wives. Half of them don't even know my dad. And we're so far away from him. Can you imagine how far away from him spiritually you would have to be for him to literally be on his deathbed crying and begging you to apologize to someone and to this? I'm on my deathbed and I'm crying. This is my friend. This person is looking out for me. And they're literally looking out for me, literally not getting any sleep, literally wiping my mouth, wiping my ass. Like, this person is doing the daggone thing. And he's on his deathbed and he's begging these people to stop making it hard for her to take care of him. And they refused. They left the house. Matter of fact, a couple of them left the house and went on vacation, honey. Right? But now they're like parading around. They love my father, my father, my father. And they're pissed because the real threat that my sister had nothing to do with the house, has nothing to do with the fact that she's the executor of his estate, has nothing to do with any of that. The real threat is that she was connected to my father on a spiritual level. And that's why they're so threatened by me all the way here in Belize, right? Because I had a connection with my father where I don't have to travel all those miles to see him in his last days. He's going to travel and come see me. He's going to come see me in those last days, right? And so authenticity matters, man. Authenticity matters. And the older you get, you lose your tolerance for nonsense and bull and like, listen, I don't leave my house. I hardly ever leave my house. I'm not like out here looking for friends and popularity. I gives two shits about any of that. Listen, I got so much work to do. I hardly ever leave my house. So for me, it's not a popularity contest. I don't care who likes me, who don't. Like listen, half the people were dead running around saying mean stuff about me because I wasn't there and whatever. If I told you how many times I talked to them people in the last 10 years. But then there are the people who I haven't talked to in 10 and 20 years who are right with me. And I didn't have to go up there to give them a hug at the memorial, right? I don't have to see them every day. I know that they carry my well-being in their spirit like I carry their well-being in mine. And we have to be wise. We have to know the difference between someone not being there and someone not being there. And someone being there and someone being there. right? What is a true friend? A true friend is someone, like, I cannot imagine calling myself loving those siblings of mine and not addressing the fact that they made my father cry on his deathbed, beg and cry on his deathbed for them to relent and be kind. We're not just going to skip over that shit and sail happily into the next, like, yay, Bob Jones. Everybody get Bob Jones t-shirts and shit, right? Legacy. Like, legacy. The man died wanting you to let go of this wickedness. I don't give a shit about the community. This, that. Listen, they don't like me. I don't care. How could I love those people and not say what you are doing is wickedness and it has nothing to do with my father's legacy? If you want to honor my father, apologize to our sister. Apologize to my sister. If for no other reason than to honor my father, being as that was his last request. And so the family is in this division, and like, I'm already an outcast, which, okay, whatever. But the family's in this division, and now they're casting others out into the outcast club with me. Because at the end of the day, everybody at this point is starting to smell the bullshit. Like, not everybody, but there are people that are like kind of scratching their heads and going, this don't feel like Bobby. This don't feel like the vibe that, like. And so, but it's funny because I'm not, and they keep saying, why are you so angry? I'm not angry. I'm disgusted. I was angry. Let me tell you, I wanted to go up there and beat somebody's ass when I found out how they were treating my sister. And then on top of it, they sitting around talking all this mean stuff on my mother. My mother ain't even there. My mom doesn't even know my father died yet. Okay? We haven't been able to get in touch with her. But they up there talking smack on my mom, my sister. I wanted to go whoop some ass because I'm fiery like that. But in truth, I don't have a lot of anger. I'm not angry with them. I don't hate them. I'm not like... I wish that they had wisdom, but they're fools, because what they're doing is they're collecting all of this support in their wickedness, and they're alienating the 1, 2, 3, 4 people in the whole entire world that care enough about their soul's progression to say, stop this wickedness. Stop dishonoring yourselves. Stop dishonoring our Father. Stop it. And so they got the whole world around them that are looking at me like, oh my God, you're causing division. We have to be wiser than that, friends. We have to be wiser than that. A lot wiser. And so that's all. I just wanted to put that out there. It got deep. I mean, I don't know if you follow me on Facebook and stuff, which I imagine you will, because I'll post this on Facebook because nobody follows me on YouTube. But, like, maybe you can go over some of the conversations I've been in with these members of my family. But I'm telling you, it's more than angry. I am sad for them because they never got the best of what my father had to offer, which was integrity. It was integrity and goodwill, and they have neither. So much so that they hate the ones who do, because they feel like my integrity and goodwill toward them in saying, stop your bullshit, they interpret that as hate and anger. Now, if they had wisdom, they would somewhere in their midst have friends who could pull their coat. But when you align yourself with carnal people, when you make that your squad, when you make carnality your way, now you can't even tell who your friends are from your enemies. You'll drink piss from a bottle from somebody smiling in your face and be mad at the person who smacks it out your hand and says, don't drink that, it's piss. You're going to fight them. My friend gave it to me. I'm like, no, don't drink the piss. Here's some water. Drink the water. That's piss. They pissed in that bottle. They're over there laughing. Girl, don't listen to her. She's a fucking hater. She's just jealous because she didn't get one. No, I'm not jealous. I'm telling you, they pissed in that bottle and they're laughing and they're making a video of it right now. And in a couple hours, it's going to be viral. A video of you drinking piss out the bottle. Tee hee hee ha ha ha. But I smacked the bottle out your hand and offer you water, and I'm a bitch. I'm a hater. I'm jealous. Like, we have to be wiser than this, family. We have to be wiser than this. We can't do this. We cannot afford to do. Listen, I don't wish them good or evil. I wish karma ever to be true to all of us, right? Now, if that brings them evil, so be it. If it brings them good, so be it. I'm not invested in that way because I believe in integrity. So may they get what they're looking for. But for those of you who are looking for your soul's progression toward your original self, for those of you who seek to be your original self, right? Who are you underneath of the trauma? Who are you underneath of the abuses that you've endured? Who are you underneath of the abuses that you have lain on others? Who are you? Truly, who is you? What is that spark that is you? And how can you make that spark brighter? It does not come from satisfying egos. It does not come from inauthenticity. It does not come from lies and deception. So if you care about your own soul's progression, you need to learn to align yourself with people who will go to spiritual battle for you. You need to learn to align yourself with people who can show up from 10,000 miles away without walking into the room, who can come into that room in spirit and clean house for you, who can hear you think about them or can feel your need, can feel your low place, and will get to praying for you and doing intercession, rather than the ones that are going to find out what kind of a situation you're in, play like they're helping, and go talk that shit behind your back. You're surrounded by 1,000 people that's cheering you on, and just laughing and laughing at how you're just eating shit. They're just cheering and cheering as they watch you eat shit. Align your spirit with the people that will not shut the hell up as long as you're sitting in front of them eating shit, that will not let it go. Align yourself with the people that will not let it go, that care about you enough to piss you off, telling you, I'm not going to sit here and watch you drink the piss water and eat the shit pie. Like, I'm not going to sit. No, every bite you take, I'm going to smack it out your hand. I'm going to smack it out your hand. I'm going to smack it out your hand. Make those kind of friends and be that kind of friend. And does that mean you're going to become popular? No, nobody's going to fucking like you. Nobody's going to like you. Right? You're going to have a very, very small group of people that you can truly stand with. But you better know how to truly stand. Because at the end of the day, judgment is going to come. And nobody's going to ask you who liked you. Nobody's going to ask you how popular you were. You're going to get questions like, so that day when your homegirl, when that wicked one made that shit pie, and you saw her mix that shit into that pie, and your homegirl, she took it to your homegirl. What did you do in that situation? Did you warn your friend? Did you let your friend eat it? Did you come between the two of them? Did you knock the pie on the floor? Or did you stand there silently and watch them eat that shit pie? You let them, how many bites did you sit there and watch them eat without saying anything? And at what point okay, so you intervened once, you intervened twice, and then you left it alone, you washed your hands of it, huh? So you ain't got no more fight in you than that for the sake of that person? These are the kinds of questions that we're going to face in judgment. And maybe you don't believe in judgment. Okay, these are the kinds of things that impact your karma. These are the kinds of things that impact your karma. And so I am so thankful that my father had the resilience that he had when he was teaching me, and that I didn't come along in the times when he had been worn down to where he threw his hands up and just, well, let the people do what they want, And it's very sad because the way that they hate my sister is just, for everything that they hate about her is what is like him. Everything that they hate about her is what's like him. Everything that they hate about me is what's like him. They don't even know or like the man. And of course, for sake of, I guess, how the family looks, I'm supposed to leave it alone, drop it, leave it alone. But I don't give a shit how the family looks. I give a shit how the family is. And yeah, so that's it, That's all I just wanted to talk to you about. Align your spirit and your soul with people who are on a trajectory similar to where you're trying to go. People that don't believe in accountability. People that don't believe in self-discovery, that they might refine themselves, make for very shitty friends. You will always be dancing to the tune of their wickedness. And if you're going to be their friend, be the friend that they don't really like, because you always, no matter what, you still tell the truth. You always, no matter what, you still look out for what's best, what's truly best, what's beneficial, what gives life. And don't let anybody convince you that just because the truth you have to tell is uncomfortable for them, or embarrassing, or makes people look bad, or makes you look unfriendly. Fuck that. Invest nothing in any of that. Invest nothing in any of that. Let your highest and deepest investment be in authenticity and integrity. Let that be the thing that you cling to more than anything else. Love and wisdom come together, friends. If they're not together, neither one of them is correct. Neither one of them is real. Love without wisdom is only apparent love. It just seems like love, but it's not love. Wisdom without love just seems like wisdom, but it's not wisdom. Only when they're together do either of them truly exist. So if you love someone, but it's not in your heart to reprove them when they err, you don't love them. And if you think you're so fucking smart, but all your smarts don't lead you to care about the condition of other people, you're not so smart. You're an idiot. It matters, man. These things matter more than y'all know. So my sister's taking licks. She's taking licks, but she's strong, man. She's holding strong. She hasn't gotten to even mourn my father. She was there when he took his last breath and stuff. She hasn't even gotten to mourn him because she's the executor of the estate and they're still beating up on her and shit. But she's strong because she got that teaching from him. She got that thing that all these, and she's so beautiful because she said, she's like, I'm not angry with them. And she's like, it's like, they're like a bunch of children, It's like you're trying to get your children dressed to go somewhere special, right? And they're all, it's crazy, right? This one's crying because they don't want to brush their teeth. That one's crying because they don't want to get their hair done. This one's mad because they want to wear, they want to wear this, and you're like, no, that's not going to work because you know that where you're going is hot. And they want to wear some big ass sweatshirt, and so they're crying and they're mad because you put a tank top on them and you won't let them wear the hot ass sweatshirt. And then this one over here is like, it's like rounding up, a bunch of kids, trying to prepare a bunch of kids to go do something nice. They have no concept of what's going on. All they know is this one wants to wear the sweatshirt. That one, their little vision is so small. It's why children have parents, right? Because, yeah, maybe the child wants to eat lollipops all day, every day, and they think you're mean when you take the lollipop away. You're mean, mom, that you won't let this kid eat lollipops nonstop. Well, that's what the kid thinks. They think you're mean. Well, at some point, how much do you care if the kid thinks you're mean? You're going to care more about them thinking you're a nice mom than you are about their health. You're going to let them eat nothing but lollipops, and so by the time they're 10, they're going to have freaking diabetes and cavities and blah, blah, blah. Like, you wouldn't do that if you loved the child. You would care less about how much that child is mad at you than you care about their well-being. And so my sister, in her beautiful wisdom, she's taking these blows, right? Ooh, they beating her up. But she's like, they're like little kids, man. They don't even know. I'm like, I'm trying to bless them, trying to hook them up, right? Just like she was blessing my father. They couldn't even dig it because their level of perception is so small and carnal, right? They can't even dig it. They think I'm trying to cause division and dishonor my father. His last dying words were to stop this wickedness. Apologize to the sister that's honoring him. To them, it's dishonorable to mention that because it makes the family look bad. They're worried more about how they look on Facebook than about whether or not they honor my father's spirit and his legacy. It's just deep, yo. So I just wanted to share that, Decide who you're going to be in the story, but count the cost. Definitely count the cost. Because I know I've alienated a lot of people in taking my stance against this bullshit that they're doing, and in exposing the lies, and in defending the sister that they're trying to turn into the devil, and in standing in defense of my mother and my mother's sons, who they're alienating because they weren't my father's sons, right? So they're like doing that little mean shit families do to them. And in my standing, I know I've alienated people that will. It's funny because how would I ever fucking know? I don't even talk to these people anyway. Like, legit, I talk to no one. Okay, my phone does not ring. Does not ring. And I'm okay with that because phones work two ways, right? So I know if I were hugely invested, I could call people. I could stay in touch with this one and that one. But the fact is, the people that I'm connected to, we might have a little moment once every several years, once every decade and a half. But that connection remains unbroken because it's authentic. And so what's required they want to unify the family. What's required is for them to truly honor my father. And his last request from them was something that they refused to do. And I will not let them run around and claim they're honoring my father in any of this bullshit that they're doing. I don't care how many drums they play. I don't care how many African songs they sing. I don't care how many of them pile up at my dad's house and sleep cocooned up in the floor together and shit. I don't care nothing about none of that. The fact is, we're not going to build some farce of a legacy on the lies and the bullshit and the cruelty. I honor myself too much for that. I honor myself. I honor my father. I honor my mother who taught me. My father taught me, be true. Be unwavering in your truth. And my mother taught me there's such a thing as human decency. And between those two things, I can't move from this place that I'm in because I honor both I honor both my parents. And what they're doing, this abuse is indecent and it's untrue. It's wickedness, it's deception, and it's lies. They're making a villain out of the one person that's looking out for them. The few people that are looking out for them, they're turning into villains. They're beating them up, they're abusing them, and they're lashing them. And so I just wanted to share this, Everybody, families always have drama when people die and la, 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 la. Yeah, I know, I get it. But who are you going to be in the story? Who are you going to be in the story? Are you going to be in the story someone who can live and die with the position that you took? Live and die with it. I know who I am. I know where I'm at. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, because it matters who you align yourself with. It matters a lot. All right? So anyway, that's all I got for y'all. It's your girl. Actually, I got a couple more lives, a couple more videos I need to do, but I probably won't get to them today. But that's what I got for y'all today. Okay? Spiritual allegiance and spiritual alignment definitely matters. And a lot of times we've got all these friends around us and we can't figure out why. We can't figure out why we're not prospering, why we're stuck, why we're always like spinning our wheels, why seem like we're always failing, why we seem like we can't get ahead. We've been in a rut for years. A lot of times it's because you have people attached to you who feed your ego or make you feel a certain kind of a way that are demons, they're devils, they're literally sucking the life out of you. But you don't know that because they show up, loud and funny and whatever. Right? That's your squad, that's your crew. Ha ha ha, it's my homie, right? Your homies and them are sitting around feeding you shitty pie. All them smiles, all them little interactions, the pictures, hey, it's my girl, whatever, right? Me and my homies, me and the homeboys, right? You all smiling and grinning because you feel proud to be part of that crew and stuff like that. And then you're not getting nowhere in your life and terrible shit keeps, every time you get a little blessing, it gets fucked up. It's because you're aligned with the devil. You're aligned with death and lies and destruction. And when somebody comes through and tries to shut it down, you hate them because they're trying to come between you and your friends and shit. Like, we got to do better, family. So anyway, hope this blessed somebody. I'm going to go ahead and post it. Y'all be easy. We shall talk soon. Now, let me figure out how to stop recording. Oh, look at this. Oh, no, I can't. That's not it. That's not what I want. All right, let's see. Y'all know me and these electronics. We working on it, y'all. We working on it. Are you sure I want to stop streaming? Okay, yes, I do. All right, bless up, y'all.